So hi, this is Caleb Denby. I'm substituting again for Eric Hansen, who is perpetually out to dinner. So today on Games You Should Know by Heart, we're going a game from the Baku Open in Azerbaijan between Alekseev and Irina Krush. Sev, probably. I don't know. I'm terrible with names. But okay. So he opens with e4 against Krush, who is playing black. Krush played c5, knight f3, d6, and bishop b5 check. So of course, black can play this or this. Either are viable moves. I think bishop d7 is a move as well. I'm very unfamiliar with Sicilians, but okay. So knight d7 was played, pawn to d4, breaking in the center. Knight to f6, and castles. All right, so already white is sacrificing a pawn. So black accepts. Apparently, a better line is to take this pawn first. And after queen to d4, there are a few different options, such as a6 or g6 or e5, going into a few different structures. But instead, Krush snagged the pawn right away. So rook to e1, gaining time on the knights, knight back to f6, d takes c5, and d takes c5. So apparently Krush already had this position before, back in 1999. And there her opponent played bishop to g5 and preserved her extra pawn. She preserved her extra pawn and later won that game. In this case, white went straight for the throat with knight to g5. So sort of taking advantage of black's lack in development with this bishop being hemmed in and attacking Swink's pawns on f7 and the later e6 square if black dares to play this move. So black played h6. Sorry, e6. Of course not h6. Another line would be h6, which is probably why I said it as I was reading it. And in this line, white immediately sacks on f7. That's right. So king takes f7, and bishop c4 check. Sorry. King to e8. And this was actually played in the Deep Blue Garry Kasparov match. So bishop to f4. That's how they would continue. Followed by something like just knight c3 and attacking the centralized king would be standard. So e6 instead. So standard development with knight c3. And after bishop to e7, black is basically threatening to castle and have all those problems resolved, right? Just up a pawn for nothing, and should be a fine game for him. For her, excuse me, for Irina. So white has to act now. So how can white either sacrifice a piece or prepare to sacrifice a piece in order to rip open the position? And prevent castling is also very important to mention. So yeah, of course, just queen e2. So the point is, of course, after castling, knight takes e6, pawn takes e6, queen e6, rook f7, and bishop c4. Yeah. So black will lose the piece back on e7 if you try something like queen f8, and anything else would just lose the rook immediately. So black cannot castle after queen to e2. And a6 was played by Irina. Oh, sorry. Should overwrite. There it is. Okay, so now How should white continue? Going straight for the throat, yeah. So this is what was played. There's knight takes f7, ignoring the threat on the bishop. Something like bishop c4 is really just wasting time, because knight takes f7 works immediately. And how could black try to break out here? It's a good question. Yeah, I was thinking something like knight b6 could be playable, with just opening the bishop to help defend the king, or the e6 pawn, and again, preparing to castle. So yeah.
Still play knight f7
Knight f7 here. I don't think it's quite as good. Maybe. Seems possible. Maybe just you're trading too many pieces after bishop e6 and king f8.
Yeah, and he's going to play queen d6.
Yeah, queen d6 might be coming, and also, yeah, I think queen d6 is probably necessary to survive. And if you try something like bishop f4, maybe knight to d5 ideas could save the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, the pieces, regardless, are just optimally placed with the bishop on b5, keeping this bishop out of the game and pinning down this knight. So the time to strike is definitely now. So knight takes f7, king takes f7, of course queen takes e6, king to f8. And now, finally, we respond to the threat on the bishop with bishop c4, with this very subtle threat, very subtle.
Subtle as a brick.
So yeah, how does black respond here? Queen e8, definitely forced. And now, we have to continue the attack with whites.
Bishop f4.
Yeah, that's right. Just getting more pieces out, getting this bishop with ideas of bishop to d6 in the game, and preparing to bring a second rook in if need be. Shh.
So what now if black plays knight to b6?
That's a similar idea to what happened in the game, but on knight b6, unfortunately, your knight's hanging. So, but yeah.
But still, sort of break out.
Yeah, that's what Krush tried to do, actually. She played knight to b8 to get her bishop out. So now, how do we continue? Because you could just play something like queen to e2, but then black's going to like develop his pieces and start to be free. Queen takes f6. Yeah, not quite. Not quite. It would of course be very nice to see g takes f6 with a little criss and a little cross. But of course, bishop takes f6 when there's nothing better after. Yeah, just bishop e7 here. So there'd be nothing better than rook takes e8 when you're just down material. It's definitely, I'd say, the definition of counterintuitive. But you're on the right track with queen to f6, trying to deflect some important pieces. Yeah, but it's a necessary move. Yeah, queen to d6. That's right. So.
Oh yeah. You can't take the queen, because then the bishop takes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely don't want to take this queen, because after bishop takes, queen e7, Rook takes or bishop takes, actually. I think I like bishop takes a bit better. After king e8, you just take this with check, and then if king d7, you're just coming in here with check, and obviously it's very, very bad. So this queen is off limits.
That's a nice move.
Yeah, it's a very nice move. So as the peanut gallery pointed out, you need some more defenders on e7 here. So knight to c6 rather is very important. Completing the reroute of the knights. And now, how can white continue the attack? So we again need to play with some urgency, or else black will develop his pieces and be free.
Rook e7.
Yeah, that's right, just breaking through. So after queen takes e7?
d1.
Exactly. So, whoops, you hung checkmate, except not quite, because of the pin. So, black has quite a tough time breaking out here. Of course, queen takes d6 is again taboo, because of the same tactic, where you lose all your pieces. Or even rook takes here, could be strong. Actually, this might just be checkmating immediately. But regardless, no good. So, Krush responded with knight to e8. Trying to hang on by hitting the queen in an attempt to distract it from this attack on the e7 square. There's a couple things you have to notice, right? First of all, if you do something slow, this rook's going to be hanging with mate. So things like queen to d5 don't work, trying to threaten mate.
I'll just shout out something. The only thing I can see is the queen back to d1 or d2.
Yeah, so that's actually right. Queen to d1 is the move. It's better than queen to d2, just because your queen has a lot less options from this square. It really can't get out to f4. And yeah. Yeah, but hanging a rook, sure. So queen to d1, aiming at the f3 square, aiming at the h5 square, both with ideas of hitting f7. Well, right now you're on the queen, so you're going to have time to play these moves. So black played queen to f6, trying to defend. Making an attempt, yeah. Putting in the effort. So now how can white continue? Yeah, knight d5. So just bringing all pieces into the attack. Gaining tempo on the queen, gaining time on the queen, and defending the bishop. Black again moved his queen to g6 this time. And here, there are a few different winning moves. The one played in the game was the stellar knight to c7. Attacking a8 one too many times. And of course, if knight takes c7, yeah, bishop d6 check, as well as queen d6. Everything wins, but yeah. So here, black attempted bishop to g4, defending the knights once again. But now the final move of, well, not the final move, I'm sorry. But here, what can white do? Take the rook? Well, not quite, not quite. Black does have a threat, believe it or not. Black did make a threat with bishop g4. Rook e8, well, that's why he played bishop g4, or she played bishop g4 to defend the knight. Rook takes e8. Well, yeah, that was the idea behind bishop g4. is now this rook defends. So you don't have quite enough to make this work. Yeah, bishop g6 here. Knight to e7. And we're defending just enough, I think. And yeah, you don't quite have knight d5 because, unfortunately, hardest rule in chess. Well, first of all, your queen moves sideways. Yeah, first of all, your queen's hanging. Second of all, queens move sideways. But okay. So yeah, this was the idea behind bishop g4 to stop rook to e8 stuff. So what idea has been like leading to mate this whole time, right? It's been queen to d6. So how can you use this diagonal effectively? Yeah, that's right. So queen to d5. So now switching focus from the d6 square to the c5 square, as well as obviously threatening things on f7. Things such as check and also mates. So rook to d8 was played, stepping out of the knight's attack, and queen takes c5. So black responded, knight to d6. Obviously, we just take that knight. Rook takes d6. And now the final move of the game. Well, the second to last move. Yeah, just capture the rook. And this will be the end. Right.
Wow, a lot of fireworks.
Yeah, that was pretty insane.
So that's the game we should know by heart.
Apparently, yeah. This game was just under. Oh no, it was actually 25. I thought it was just under 30, but it was 25 moves exactly. This is Best Attacking Games of 2012 to 2015 by Nidich and Below.